The Liberal leadership race, I've never seen anything like it. And I've been around for quite a few different leadership races of, different varieties. So far, you've got Chrystia Freeland out front. She's former Minister of Finance, as you know, former Deputy Prime Minister. She quit before she got fired by Trudeau. She's got a lot of high-profile endorsements, and she had her launch party just the last weekend. And of course, it was completely interrupted by protesters. So, the pro-Palestine protesters. So, watching the video, it was just sad. Actually, it was pathetic. And then we've got Mark Carney, who's the former Bank of Canada and Bank of England governor, all his globalist background. He's backed by several high-profile MPs as well. He launched just a few days before Chrystia and had to redo his logo because, of course, he copied somebody else's logo and there was an infringement there. So that kind of also went down in flames. And then you've got Karina Gold. She's Liberal House Speaker, typical millennial. She's backed by our friend Pam Damoff, so that's exciting. She says she has Canadians in her heart. However, we just aren't in her comments on Twitter because she keeps them locked so nobody can ever reply to her. So she's in the running. Yeah. Jamie Baptiste, he's a Cape Breton MP. He's Mi'kmaq Indigenous. First Nations musician and powwow dancer, and he's famous for those terrible comments about Indigenous women and how they're all on pills. So, yeah, that's awkward. Then you've got my former MP from Nepean, a suburb here in Ottawa, Chandra Arya, Indian-born. He was first out of the gate. He doesn't speak French. He says that does not matter to Quebecers. There's no reason to speak French. He wants to abolish the monarchy, and he is against the carbon tax. So I'm sure he will do swimmingly well in the only area where Liberals have any hope of winning any votes, which is Quebec. And then finally, you've got Frank Baylis. Now, he's not a current MP. He's a former Liberal MP, but you may remember the name because he was part of that $237 million ventilator scandal during COVID, that all those ventilators ended up in the recycle bin after a huge, sole source contract.
$250 million, just for those of you that are following along at home. $250 million.
$250 million, yeah. Yes. So that's the lineup so far. You are right. It's an absolute clown show. Liberals will choose their leader on March 9th, and that person will become the leader and, of course, the temporary prime minister until the next election. Interestingly enough, we knew that Trudeau was not running to be the prime minister again, but he's also announced he's not even running as an MP. So he has left the ship. He's not willing to go down with it. So he's out of politics after this. I'm sure that he'll find some cozy appointments somewhere else. But yeah, that's the gong show that is the Liberal leadership to this point.
Yeah, it's an absolute train wreck, and with absolute train wreck candidates. But anyway, everyone you mentioned, I could talk about that stuff all day. So I'm going to spare our audience my comments on all that stuff. But yeah, what a mess. Anyway, it looks good on them. They deserve everything they're getting.
They totally do. They totally do. We don't even owe them the time to do their leadership race. So the fact that it's going exactly how I had hoped it would is absolutely perfect. And of course, the polling numbers are out since all of these contenders have announced their candidacy for leadership. There was some concern that maybe they would swing the polls back the other way a little bit. There's been absolutely no movement. So yeah, it looks good on them.
Well, it's funny because this group of people they have such a profound lack of self-awareness. They're so decoupled from reality that they're just like, okay, well, maybe a new leader, maybe that, no, it's your policies. You've destroyed the country. You've attacked everyone that hasn't done anything to deserve it. And you've lifted criminals and the worst parts of our society up and used government resources to prop them. You're you've done everything wrong. That's why people are angry, and that's why you're being rejected at the polls. Come on, man. Anyway, people are sick of this whatever, right? Not going to get too into it, but WEF stuff, globalist stuff, this extreme attitude on how people should live that's being projected from the people that live the most extravagantly. People are tired of that stuff. What do? They wheel in Mark Carney. Yeah. His name is on the freaking $20 bill.
Yeah.
And he's calling himself an outsider. People are sick of being lied to and gaslit. They're tired of it. And so many people have woken up that it's just amazing, right? They try gun control, no bump in the polls. New leaders, no bump in the polls. everything they try is not working. Thank goodness. Thank you, Canada.
Yeah. Well, it is free to take out a membership in the Liberal Party of Canada. I'm not suggesting it to anybody else, but I'd be voting for Chandra Arya. That's where I'd be.
Yeah, or Karina Gould. She is an absolutely atrocious person. Yeah. And I think she'd fit in beautifully, like a hand in a glove, man. Man, that's it. Thanks for hanging in there. Really appreciate it. It's going to be an exciting year, no matter what. So thanks so much, everyone. Share the podcast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.